Good evening, race fans, and welcome to the legacy version of the Atlanta Motor Speedway here in the Belly Up Sports Cup Series on the Belly Up Sports YouTube channel. We're excited to be hosted by the Belly Up Sports team as we bring you the Atlanta 250. My name is David Westergreen, and with me on this Elite Racing Network broadcast booth are my partners, my producer David Huckleberry, Zach Evans, my co-announcer. We'll also have Sam Boutwell and Dominic Wright on race control tonight. Zach, to bring you in here, we've got a hot racetrack, sunny day at Atlanta. That usually means good things for racing and something that drivers love. But with this next-gen car, I was getting a lot of concerned reports. We might be dealing with a tight condition, a lot like last week at Las Vegas. Take me through what you're expecting tonight at Atlanta.
Well, you mentioned a hot racetrack. I think a lot of guys would actually prefer it to be a little bit warmer this evening. A little bit cooler temperatures, and we're used to seeing only 91 degrees on the track temp right now, which, it doesn't sound terribly cold, but certainly compared to some of the temperatures we have seen at times here in the Elite Racing League, definitely on the cooler side as qualifying gets underway here. I'm kind of like you, hearing a lot of guys concerned about the handling tonight. We will see how it plays out as we take a quick look at our championship standings here in the Belly Up Sports Cup Series, of course. The Channel 199 trio, Blake Reynolds, Zach Novak, Ethan Stanley, leading the way. That team has put together 5 wins already here in the 2025B season.
It's been dominant from them. Obviously, Zach Novak participating in the Coke Series on Tuesdays. He'll be a Final Four driver over there. So, I mean, his attention a little bit diverted, I think, this week, but I'm sure he'll still be a contender for the race tonight. And then his teammate, Blake Reynolds, the points leader, is going to be starting from the back. He's accumulated too many tallies of incident causing issues. And as of right now, Blake Reynolds will have to start this race from the rear. We'll see what kind of comeback trail he can forge. I do believe we had one more, but I am trying to remember who it was.
Josh Adams.
That's it. Josh Adams.
If you recall from our broadcast at Las Vegas, he was at fault for 2 incidents. Bewilderingly appealed it. You'll never believe it. Did not successfully get that appeal. Did not get those tallies overturned. So along with the penalty for 2 tallies, which includes a points penalty as well as starting at the rear of tonight's race, he was credited with 42nd place at Las Vegas instead of 37th if he had just parked it when he was asked to. So, there's that.
It doesn't work out. Sometimes you'll have that, right? There's a fine line, I would say, on the idea to, when to go ahead and park it versus when to go ahead and appeal those penalties handed out by race control. But I would like to commend Race Control while we've had a moment. Dominic Wright and Sam Boutwell are both in their first season of Race Control. And, I've participated in one of these races, but Zach, I don't think I've heard a whole lot of complaints from the drivers. I think those guys are handling things really well.
Certainly, I think, certainly every week is a new adventure, but for the most part, I believe this season's rather, Race Control being fairly well received by the competition.
Yeah. So as qualifying wraps up, I believe we will have a first-time pole winner on the season. I could be wrong about that, but we will get ready to race here as these cars begin to grid up and qualifying turns over right now. And yes, here it is. David Tooker will be your pole winner for this Atlanta 250. Tooker's, I believe, first pole of the season in that 19 car for Pro Edge Racing. It'll be the 4D Racewear Pole Award winner. And then you've got Jonathan Cutlip alongside him in the outside lane as we roll through our starting lineup here. Scott Crump and Tyler Fody, the Lake Norman Motorsports teammates, will make up row 2. Their teammate Ryan Gable will start in 5th alongside Trey Holmes in 6th. Ethan Burrell and Zach Novak will roll from row 4. You'll have Matthew Weeks and a Leighton Norgard making up your top 10, with Chad Frankenfield and Paul Mikolajczyk rounding out the top 12.
Starting 13th will be Ty McIntosh for South Shore Racing. He'll be joined on the 7th row by Dustin Dewar. Solid qualifying effort for the Dragon there. In the 14th spot, Caleb Cumer rolling off 15th. Gavin Hibbs will start in the 16th position. Brent Jones starting 17th. RC Enerson will start 18th. Blake Reynolds qualified 19th. As you mentioned, he will be going to the rear of the field to start this race. Harrison Talon starting 20th. Gavin Higgins will slot forward into that 19th position. He qualified 21st. Ethan Stanley will start 22nd, coming off that win 2 weeks ago at Las Vegas. Jesse Racimas qualifying 23rd. Johnny Thomas rolling off 24th.
25th will be Daniel Gore for South Shore Racing. Alongside him is Sean Judson. Ray Bracey will go from 27th alongside Justin Wadsworth in 28th. A couple of the Schaumburg racers there between Bracey and Wadsworth. Ryan Scholda and Michael Hosack will be row 15. You've got Garrison Hogan and Seth Rawls in row 16. Corey Abbott and Jaden Racimas will roll from row 17, and Gerald Campbell and Gilberto Javier make up your top 36. And then as we take a look at the rounding out of tonight's lineup, we've got Frank Foti, Carlos Acosta, Michael Goodman, Josh Adams, Tate Lytle, and Kurt Gibson rounding out our 42 car field this evening. Adams obviously will not have to go far to serve that EOL penalty for those two tallies that you mentioned earlier. So, Zach, this racetrack is the old version of Atlanta. Obviously, it's been reconfigured in modern times to more of a super speedway style race, but these next gen cars never ran on that old surface of Atlanta. There's going to be multiple grooves, but I think true to next gen form, the cars that can save their tires and run the bottom of the racetrack are going to be the best cars in the field. 5 sets of tires. Our stage will be lap 60 and 163 laps for 250 miles tonight in the Atlanta 250.
I think you're exactly right. The trick will be to keep that car on the bottom as long as possible, maintain that long run speed. I'm sure you'll see some guys moving around. The temptation is too strong at Atlanta, right? We all fancy ourselves being part of that 2001 Cracker Barrel 500 and battling for the win 3 wide, but I think discretion is going to be the better part of valor early in these long runs.
163 laps, a long way to go. I think we got a number of about 60 laps for pit stops, so these guys are going to pit at least twice tonight under green. Pace car is off. David Tooker onto the loud pedal. We are racing from Atlanta, and Tooker leads Jonathan Cutlip, Scott Crump, Tyler Foti, and Ryan Gable into turn 1, and it's Scott Crump getting up to the back bumper of David Tooker and clearing Jonathan Cutlip for second. A near miss in the middle of the pack. Dustin Dewar got a little bit squirrely. He's 3 wide amongst Brent Jones and Gavin Hibbs. They're going to keep it clean and green off of turn 2, down the back straightaway and into turn 3 with David Tooker leading the way over Crump, Cutlip, Gable, and Tyler Foti. Your top 5.
Top 3, top 4-ish, able to get settled out single file fairly quickly. Tyler Foti will slot in behind Ryan Gable in that 5th position. And the white number 40, that will take a little bit of adjusting for me.
Yeah, it's at least got the purple accent on it,
yes,
which is our typical version of Tyler Foti's paint scheme there. Battle back here for 7th between Trey Holmes and Zach Novak. Novak has that preferred inside line. Making it work is the 2-time winner this season, the Southern 500 winner in this 42 car. And Novak rolls alongside Holmes, will likely clear for that 7th spot. And not just yet. Trey Holmes still fighting back on the outside lane. Chad Frankenfield looking on just behind them.
And you can bet, as much as we talked about, save tires, run the bottom, if there's somebody that's got to be quick to explore that high side, it will be that 15 car of Chad Frankenfield, already looking a little bit to Zach Novak's outside. Hasn't been able to pull alongside just yet.
Chad trying that kind of middle groove in turn 1 in Atlanta. And the beauty of Atlanta is you can see Chad Frankenfield kind of in that middle lane. You had Jesse Racimas and Brent Jones kind of running the top, and then just about everybody else was working that bottom groove. But you can make just about any lane work for a pass here at Atlanta. The way this track works, you've got so many options, so many grooves. Really, your best bet is to go find whatever lane works for you and run it when you're going, to try and run this thing, burn your tires and run hard. And Right now, see Chad Frankenfield cuts in. Zach Novak runs the wall that time and just displays all of the the width of this track, the ability to make those passes. And when you've got such dirty air getting dumped from the rear end of this next gen car, kind of really creating a lot of stack up and log jam. Guys are just trying to move forward right now to get out of the dirty air, and that's why we're seeing the racing we are right now.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, already just in these 6 laps, we've already seen 3 different lanes in action. You're absolutely right that getting that clean air will be critical for these guys. You could see just how tight. I mean, there was Brent Jones, Jesse Racimus there, nearly collecting the outside wall on corner exit.
Ty McIntosh just took Brent Jones 3 wide. You got Gavin Higgins to the outside, and Higgins gets a piece of the wall and then gets a piece of Brent Jones. Jones sliding back up the track. I think he's going to collect Harrison Talon. The yellow flag is out. I also saw Caleb Pecumer involved in this. Looks like somebody might have tagged Harrison Talon as well. And I've got the one car of Jaden Racimus is the one that tagged Harrison Talon, but this started on corner exit of turn 4. Gavin Higgins got a piece of the wall, came down and bounced off of Brent Jones. Really, it started even before this. Ty got underneath Brent entering turn 3. Brent tried to give Ty a little bit of room on the bottom, but didn't really anticipate Gavin Higgins being up there. That could have been a significantly larger wreck when Brent got slid up to the outside there.
And it almost looks like either Harrison Talon grabbed a little bit too much brake, or maybe he got tagged in the checkup because he was already out of control before he arrived on. Yep, just wiggled under braking there. That's what sends him around. Daniel Gore gets a piece of, I believe that may have been a Leighton Norgard.
I think it was Sean Judson that Gore got a piece of right there.
You know what? You're probably right.
And it wasn't enough, I don't think, to create damage, but Daniel Gore will have to pit for 4 new tires as he went into that 4-wheel slide and headed on down the racetrack.
That is indeed Sean Judson. You are spot on with that.
Yeah, I might have even been netcode from Gore into Judson, too.
Ray Bracey there. He didn't really even do anything. You can't even call that evasion, but somehow both Daniel Gore and Sean Judson both slide around him, and he manages to just squeeze on by.
Harrison Talon spinning, and then there go Gore and Judson around the outside.
Oh, boy.
That'll be a good one to throw on quick shifts later this week.
No doubt. No doubt. We will see that on quick shifts in 1 week's time.
Do you want to go ahead and roll into our first ad read here, or should we hold off on that one?
Yes. I do want to take a moment here during tonight's broadcast here to mention Marshall Stanley. Marshall has been a part of the Elite Racing League family since 2019, most recently as a competitor in the Warriors for Peace IndyCar Series. But for most of our viewing audience on the Elite Racing Network, you've seen his handiwork on various promotional videos and broadcast intros, where he still is part of Elite to this day. On Monday, Marshall's father passed away, and I can say from my own experience that there is no community like the sim racing community. We may have our disagreements and fights on the track, but no one showed me more support in the past month than this community. And on behalf of Elite, the Elite Racing League, Elite Racing Network, I just want to take a moment and offer our condolences to Marshall and his family this week after the passing of Marshall's father. We'll be right back with more from Atlanta after this.
Now let's hear about Blue Egg Marketing. Rev up your business with Blue Egg, your marketing picker. Turbocharge your lead generation with experienced drivers that can navigate the competitive track to connecting with your customers. With Blue Egg, you're always in the pole position, leading your brand toward victory lane. Don't spin your wheels, accelerate success with Blue Egg, fueling small businesses to win big.
Welcome back to Atlanta as we get ready to complete pacing and resume the Atlanta 250 under our first yellow flag of the evening. Brent Jones was tagged with the tally on that one, with the contact getting into Gavin Higgins and kicking off that multi-car incident. And the lovely words from Zach Evans, and we do think of Marshall Stanley here, and we'll take this first lap, I think, in silence in the broadcast booth, and we'll just allow the sound of the cars to roll out, and we'll think about anyone who we've lost. I know we lost Zach's grandmother, like Zach said, about a month ago. So, this lap will be in silence, and we'll pick us up on lap 11. David Tooker leads this first lap. He's led all 12 of them this evening. Scott Crump and Jonathan Cutlip battling for second. Give it to Scott Crump. Ryan Gable and Chad Frankenfield battling for fourth just behind, with Tyler Fode and Zach Novak side by side as well. The field a little less keen to get singled out on this restart. They're a little bit racier right now.
Really surprising to me to see this much action early on, although I probably shouldn't be. We know how aggressive these guys can be here in the Belly Up Sports Cup Series, and understandably, we've seen it play out so many times how important it is to get track position early, especially in this next-gen car. You do have to worry about that tire life, but certainly guys mixing it up early on here on this run.
With the caution on lap 10, I think that makes it a little bit obvious, right? You can kind of assume you'll pit to burn that tire. I'm assuming around lap 50 or so, but you've cut out a few of those extra green flag laps up to lap 50. So, you can feel a little more comfortable in trying to gain a few positions early in the run here. Utilize that outside line and then, take advantage of maybe a short pit as you try to calculate out the rest of this race.
If you're dividing it roughly into thirds, I think you're about right. You're looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of 50 to 55 laps. You could stretch it a little bit further than that on fuel, if I'm not mistaken. The number I heard was 60. Well, that may be ballparking it a little bit. But I think you're absolutely right that, especially with that one caution, if we were to go green from here, you'd start seeing guys duck down pit road somewhere in the 50s.
Yeah, I think that's right, and that may give these guys a little bit more confidence to go out there and run hard right now. And you can see it, right? Lots of side-by-side action. A lot of guys taking that outside line. We talked about how we felt the inside line was the way to save tires. Ryan Gable currently the car backing off that corner as we get to jump up to our battle for second here between Jonathan Cutlip and Scott Crump. The inside is typically the way you save tire, but you can maybe gain some track position and then short pit if you use that outside line and kind of use it to gain that track position early in the run. These guys are gonna have to feel out how bad that tire wear is, because it's old Atlanta, right? We know there will be tire wear, and the cars are tight. We know it's going to wear the right front tire, but just how much is that outside line going to really murder your car? Your car's performance 10, 15, 20 laps into a run.
And that was one area where I was hearing some difference of opinions during the practice. Some guys were saying if they got 20, 25 laps into a run, even sticking to the bottom, they were starting to feel that right rear start to burn off. Other guys, not so much. They felt like, no, we're still pretty hooked up here as we get longer into the run. Now, whether that was a matter of just some guys being better with managing their tires or what, I'm not sure, but I think we will see here in about the next 10 to 15 laps where that drop-off begins for some of our competitors.
Ryan Gable told me before the race that you'll know who is running the wrong lane and who's abusing the right front tire on this car. You'll know who it is, and you'll be able to see after 10, 15, 20 laps into a run here. And we're approaching 10 laps in the run. Ryan Gable had been running the bottom, got a little sick of it, jumped to the outside, bypasses Jesse Racimus, gets into the corner, kind of shoves Leighton Norgard into the corner a little bit, and now he rolls the bottom in this 0-1 Hux machine. So Ryan Gable, I don't think he's really saving tire all that much. The guy I'm looking at right now that's kind of backed up his pace compared to the cars around him is Tyler Fode, who's playing a little bit of defense there from sixth spot, kind of holding this pack back as the 5 cars in front of him drive away a little bit.
And we talk about the tire thing. We usually say guys running the bottom are going to do a better job of taking care of their tires, but it's worth noting there is an art to it as well, right? It's all well and good if you run the bottom, but if you're putting in too much wheel input, you're driving it in too deep, you're not lifting enough, especially as you get later into the run, you're still going to burn off the right front, even if you are running the bottom. It's more than just picking the right line. It's how you execute that line, and sometimes, especially some of these pro drivers, they can do a better job saving tires running the high side than other guys can running the low side. So it's not quite that cut and dry, but those are the trends we tend to see in this next gen platform.
I think you're spot on with that. Can we go on board, Dave, with maybe somebody who's running multiple lanes back there? I don't have a number exactly. Maybe Ethan Stanley or Justin Wadsworth, one of those guys, just to see what it's like in the middle of this big snarling pack of cars and get a feel for the legacy version of Atlanta Motor Speedway. Here we are with Justin Wadsworth, who won the feature event of our Sim Racing Expo Challenge in Schaumburg a couple of days ago. And here's Wadsworth running that outside line. You can see he's got some wheel cranked into it. You can kind of utilize this orange tape on the bottom to know just how hard Wadsworth's cranking the wheel right now, and he's pretty controlled with it. If you can generally see the tape still on your screen, you feel like you're not cranking the wheel too much. But I think Wadsworth, using that outside line, I think he is burning the tires a little bit more than you would expect. And he's a guy who's really quite solid at saving his stuff. And you can see running the bottom takes a little bit more wheel input from Wadsworth than that outside line did. So, it's going to be interesting to see how this 6 car in particular moves forward, because he's used both the outside and inside since we've been on board with him. And, I think he's making about equal inputs no matter where he runs on the racetrack.
Yeah, it's hard to tell for sure, but I think you may be right about that. If anything, it almost...
Oh, crash! Gerald Campbell around. Michael Goodman into the wall. Campbell is going to slam the wall himself again and save it and stay straight, and that will be the yellow flag.
We'll take a look here on the Rebelus Photography replay machine. That is 3 wide.
Dusty got tight coming off of turn 4. It's going to open the door for Stanley, Hibbs, and Gerald to roll through.
And it almost looks like the car just steps out there on Gerald as he was negotiating. That's where the car would be its lightest, right? You hear that all the time when a car is negotiating really any tri-oval, but certainly the case here, and it just steps out on him ever so slightly, trying to work outside of 3 wide. Not a lane you would get a lot of practice running, and just twitches ever so slightly. Then the rear end catches the wall. That slaps the whole right side against the wall. Now he's fighting for control before he can get it gathered up. He collects the 32 of Dustin Dewar, and now he's backing towards the wall.
Stuff. And yeah, Gerald obviously getting the tally for this incident, but it almost seemed like he put a ton of extra wheel into the car in order to prevent it from hitting the wall, and that's what got him all squirrely and out of shape in the first place there. But we'll say, you never know when it comes to the inputs like that, as we see everybody hitting pit road except for a select few, about 4 to 5, have stayed on the racetrack. David Tooker leading the rest of the field down pit road for tires and fuel. Caleb Becumer, Johnny Thomas, Blake Reynolds have stayed out, and I think that group all pitted on the first caution. So, 10 laps on the tires. Brent Jones definitely pitted. He's up here in 4th. I think that might be an interesting call. We'll see how it works out for these guys that have stayed out. I think it could really work out for Blake Reynolds, who probably has the pace to run up at the front of the field.
It'll be interesting to see. I think part of the decision here could also be your fuel number. If you're not really sure you can get home from here on one more stop, then try to get some track position before everybody comes back down pit road anyway. at the potentially the next caution.
Gotta make me do
I
some
think
math.
a lot of I was told there would be no math. I think for Blake Reynolds,
69 lap runs.
ooh, that'd be a lot. So I think that's part of it as well. Certainly, Blake Reynolds would love to get some track position here. We saw Johnny Thomas try this at Las Vegas, and so he's going back to the well with that. As I don't know, did Gerald make it off pit road in time?
I'll see whether or not he's got a little black flag next to the name. Nope, doesn't look like it. I think Gerald did, in fact, make it off pit road just before the pace car got there.
The Lightning Queen pit exit there.
That's right.
And that will keep Gerald on the lead lap in the 41st position.
So Caleb Pecumer has taken over the race lead. He'll restart with the lead here alongside Johnny Thomas, as we mentioned, and Blake Reynolds. Brent Jones will restart in 4th. Corey Abbott will restart 5th. Kurt Gibson will restart 6th. Then you'll have the cars that came down pit road last time. Jonathan Cutlip in 7th. David Tooker 8th. Scott Crump 9th. Tyler Fode 10th. Zach Novak restarting 11th with Chad Frankenfield alongside him in 12th. Zach, this is when you've got the alternating strategies, and I love me some alternating strategy, but this is where you see a lot of these races delve into some chaos.
And we saw it at Vegas.
Yeah, we did. So pace car is off. Caleb Pecumer gets it on the loud pedal, and he fires off well, gets out to the lead. Blake Reynolds and Johnny Thomas side by side behind Pecumer. See how good that clean air is on the nose of this 59 car as Caleb Pecumer dumps some dirty air onto the nose of Blake Reynolds as they exit turn 2. Johnny Thomas clears Corey Abbott to 3rd. It's Cutlip and Jones side by side. Looks like those tires don't have a ton of early advantage. They're not just blowing the doors off of everybody around them right now. It's more just the aggression of the quality of the drivers out front as Pecumer holds off Blake Reynolds and leads this first lap under green flag conditions. Johnny Thomas to the outside of Blake Reynolds now for 2nd.
You're right. Those older tires holding up strong at the moment as Blake Reynolds washes up the hill ever so slightly. That'll allow Johnny Thomas to get the run on the outside. He's got to try and hold on to that 2nd spot using that 2nd lane through turns 3 and 4.
Our sideways Seth Rawls managed to save it. They are still green. Cutlip into Tooker ever so slightly on corner exit. Pecumer continues to lead. Thomas passes Reynolds for 2nd. This wad of cars is from 4th on back. Tooker's got 4th. Crump wants it. Cutlip. Also, Corey Abbott trying to maintain track position. Behind him is Zach Novak. You've got Tyler Fode working on the bottom here. So there is a tire wear advantage. Look at how Scott Crump is able to rip through the center of the corner faster than Blake Reynolds, Johnny Thomas, and Caleb Pecumer, but that car washes up in the center of the corner. It doesn't have the clean air, and so Scott Crump is not able to make passes on these guys despite having that clean air. Look at Blake Reynolds now, jumps to the outside, dumping the dirty air onto the nose of the Scott Crump machine. David Tooker drops to the bottom of the racetrack. They're still side by side for 4th behind 3 guys who've stayed on the racetrack at Old Atlanta. That's just not something I would have expected to see.
No, it's been really surprising how well these tires have held up for Pecumer, Thomas, and Reynolds in the top 3 positions. I think you're right. Eventually, Scott Crump and David Tooker and the rest of these guys will be able to work their way around. Was that a little bit of a blink there we saw from the 19?
Looked like it. Here comes Crump to the inside of Reynolds, but he just doesn't have the pace right now to jump up there and get alongside and past and clear Blake Reynolds. The 90 is faster in the center of the corner than the 66, but Blake Reynolds utilizing that outside lane defensively, utilizing somewhat clear. Oh, Crump got into Blake Reynolds. Reynolds is going to hang on to it. Oh, he's going to cut back up the track and spin. Yellow flag is out. Reynolds is going to be dodged by the pack. Except for Kurt Gibson. And Kurt gets a big piece of Blake Reynolds at the end, and Blake Reynolds' time at the front goes up in smoke as Scott Crump and Blake Reynolds making that contact there on corner exit of turn 4. What you see here, Zach?
Well, it's got to be pretty cut and dry as far as I'm concerned. Scott Crump, just barely, but does wash up there into the left rear. of Blake Reynolds. That's going to get him turned across the grass, and then we will see what happens after that. Blake Reynolds couldn't really go any higher. Probably fought it a little too long, but ultimately ends up out of the way and just gets collected there by Justin Vandermarl.
I think it's Kurt Gibson. Yeah.
What?
It's Kurt Gibson in the 88 car there.
Okay.
Yeah. Vandermarl is not here, I don't believe. Oh, yeah. I think Kurt just has a little bit of inexperience. Kurt's a rookie in this series, and he's a bit of an inexperienced driver. And just, the smoke's there. The car is going to be on the racetrack somewhere. You just have to make sure you're woed down. I mean, he definitely starts checking up, but nowhere near enough, I think. And for seeing the smoke here, I mean, he's out of the gas, but he's just not on the brakes very much. He's kind of coasting, and then, there's Blake Reynolds. Scott Crump does get the tally, as Zach surmised. And Blake Reynolds does have a meatball flag, by the way. Is that a fuel-only stop I saw from Tate Lytle there?
It
That might be
very well
interesting.
could have been. It very well could have been.
Tate is struggling with... Oh, go ahead.
If memory serves me right, you may have to correct me on this, but I believe one of our early cautions back at Vegas was those two cars coming together with the other car getting the tally.
Yeah, I think you're correct. So that's why I did kind of I offered you the repose there. I don't know. It didn't look particularly egregious. So but...
I don't. I think it's a coinky-dink more than anything, but that's not a pattern you want to start for sure. Because even two racing incidents, if it's between two guys, especially one of which not exactly known as one of the most patient drivers here in the Belly Up Sports Cup Series, it's not somebody you want to end up on the wrong side of in the middle of the season for sure.
I believe Tate Lytle, Paul Mikulajczyk, and Ty McIntosh took.
That's three guys I'm definitely going to keep an eye on. I would even wager, Zach, I think the three of those guys can make it to the end from here on one more stop. Let me be very clear, on one more stop. I think everybody else is going to be right on the cusp of having to pit twice. But those three guys can definitely make it with one more. So should this race turn into a green flag normal type of Atlanta race, I would look for Tate Lytle, Paul Mikulajczyk, Ty McIntosh to wind up at the front of the field because they'll have to make one less pit stop than everybody else.
Worth mentioning as well, I did discuss the Reynolds Crump incident from last week where Reynolds did pick up a tally. There was another incident where Scott Crump initially was issued a tally, a 3-wide incident late in the race, but that was appealed and overturned. So that's good news for Crump now, because otherwise he would be looking at the penalty box and a points penalty and perhaps an EOL to start next week.
And that's, we talked about the tallies a little bit as kind of a, you've got your one and now you've burned it. Well, Scott's used his one here, lap 36 in, but you also mentioned that those stack over the course of multiple races. So now Scott also doesn't really have a one next week as Caleb Pecumer fires off from the outside lane, jumped up there to pull his teammate Tyler Fode through, and the yellow flag is out once again. A crash in the back. It's Dustin Dewar who has spun around on the restart here, and they'll line him up and do it again. See what happened to Dustin Dewar here. Might have been one of those. Oh, no, it wasn't. I was thinking that was one of those restart stack-ups, but no, it appears...
I almost wonder, and unfortunately, even if we go on the replay, we'll never know 100% because iRacing will lie to you visually on stuff like this. But it almost looks like a guy that said, you know what? I haven't been restarting very well. Let me try first gear.
Or if he went to shift to third and then grabbed first.
Or grabbed first. Something...
Yeah.
I don't
know.
If
anything, that was just a tire spin.
Yeah, maybe not. Again, what it said second gear on the screen. It does not necessarily mean that could be false. But Still, from what we saw, I think you're right. It may have just been a simple case of tire spin.
Yeah, that's what it looked like there. So, unfortunate for Dusty Dewar. He'll get some nose damage and head onto the back of the field. And we will jump on to a commercial break, and we'll be back after these messages for the rest of the Atlanta 250.
Champions, forged by the pressure of the countdown, will rise. It's where ambition meets asphalt, where some dreams are made and others go up in smoke. With only 4 races to go, the gateway to the West could be the way to win it all. This weekend, the Napa Auto Parts NHRA Midwest Nationals roar at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Get tickets today at WWTRaceway.com and be a part of the NHRA countdown to the championship this weekend.
You saw that from our friends at Worldwide Technology Raceway, the Midwest Nationals, part of the countdown to the championship, heading to Madison, Illinois, just a few weeks' time. Of course, they'll be right down the road from me this weekend at ZMAX Dragway. Dramatic start to the countdown to the championship last weekend in Maple Grove. Hopefully, if you're in the greater St. Louis area, you can make it to Worldwide Technology Raceway. Check all of the action out. It's an experience. If you've never been to an NHRA event like that, it's something you absolutely have to check off your bucket list at some point. Well, we have a moment here under this caution also for our fans watching for the first time here on Belly Up Sports rather than our usual broadcasting home, the Elite Racing Network. Let's take a minute to talk about the Elite Racing League. The Elite Racing League offers 7 leagues on the iRacing service with top-of-the-line competition in a friendly and respectful environment. Elite has everything from the open-wheel racing of IndyCar to 5 tiers of the NASCAR world, sports cars, and more. For more information, follow Elite Racing _ on X or visit EliteRacingLeague.com. As you can see, field doubled up, getting ready for a restart here, working lap 40 of 163 here in the Atlanta 250 from the legacy version of the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Caleb Kumer, Tyler Fode will line up on the front row for this restart.
I am back.
Pair of Lake Norman Motorsports entries leading the field to green for this restart.
Yeah, Johnny Thomas and Caleb Kumer still holding strong up there in the top 5 after staying out on those old tires, and it hasn't really bit them yet. And now you've had a couple of heat cycles on these tires, and I wonder if they'll just be able to hang out there until the next pit stop. Pace car is off. Kumer fires early in the restart zone. That stacks everybody up behind a little bit. Caleb Kumer with a gigantic jump, and he's just been able to hang on to the lead since he grabbed it after not pitting there a couple of laps ago. Tyler Fode able to hold the outside lane against Johnny Thomas. He'll clear for that second spot. They're still chasing Caleb Kumer as Thomas kind of falls victim to that inside lane. David Tucker now rolls to the outside for third.
And you can see just behind that, the snarling pack here from Scott Crump on back. Crump now able to get to the outside. You know he wants to use those fresher tires and work the outside. Being on defense on the inside just wasn't working out. Now he's going to be able to power around Johnny Thomas on the outside, and he'll set his sights on this top 3. But David Tucker, Tyler Fode already ahead of him.
Tucker and Tyler Fode have had some really, strong battles this season. I think back to a race you missed at the road course in Austria. These two had a pretty spirited battle, resulting in Tyler Fode finishing second. David Tucker, who ran second or third the whole race, fell outside the podium after a little bit of it wasn't late race contact, but late race racing between them. And ultimately, Fode able to clear by David Tucker, but still running behind his teammate Caleb Kumer. Chad Frankenfield works to the inside of Scott Crump. That is for the 5th position. It's the 4th position. Give it to Crump. Cutlip drives by Chad Frankenfield. Johnny Thomas still hanging out in the top 10. And up front, the caution is out, actually. Caleb Kumer had just lost the lead to Tyler Fode and David Tucker right there. I don't know what the caution is for here.
Oh, there it is.
It's probably that. Brent Jones is around in turn 2.
Well, okay. Oh no.
That's not what you want.
Was
Frank
not.
Fody gets it.
Yeah. Yeah. Not sure what happened to Frank to put him. Oh, and was that Burrell that got collected there?
Yeah. Ethan Burrell gets a big piece of Brent Jones.
Hmm.
Why was Frank Fody going so slow on the
Well,
front stretch?
That's what I feel like there must have been. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yep.
So
There we
let's
go.
see here. So this is going to start coming through turns 3 and 4. Ray Bracey gets a little snug there, ends up 3 wide. Caught a net code there between Ryan Schold and is that Gavin Hibbs or is that Garrison Hogan? Okay.
Yeah. And Frank has went 4 wide into the grass.
He has taken evasive action to avoid running into Garrison Hogan, which puts him into grass and off the pace, and then he's going to this is got to be a little awkward here because Brent Jones is taking his line. He maybe crowds Fody a little bit. Fody doesn't exactly stay as far left as he needs to either. They meet in the middle.
Around
Fody
goes
was
Brent Jones.
pretty much in the middle lane by the time that was over, to be honest. And then Brent Jones is around, and that's going to collect Burrell, as we saw in the first angle. Paul Mikolajczyk may have gotten a piece of the wall trying to sneak by. I wouldn't be too worried about it if I was him.
That's man, that's tough. I don't envy race control on this one. They will have to make a call here.
There are a lot of layers on that onion for sure.
Because if you're talking about what triggered the caution, well, it was that contact between Hogan and Schold, but it wasn't really contact; it was net code. But then Frank came up the track into Brent, and that's what's going to end up getting the caution there.
Regardless of what led him to the grass, there is an argument to be made for an unsafe rejoin there, and it appears that is the direction race control has gone in, and I think that's a perfectly fair result. I do want to mention that now that I guess. Okay, so too much damage for Ethan Burrell.
Wow.
That is a shame, to say the least. I do want to mention Caleb Becumer pitting under this caution, but have to give him a shout out because those were the first laps he has led in the Belly Up Sports Cup Series in his career that we witnessed there on that, making that decision to stay out on the older tires pay off handsomely. So shout out to that driver leading some laps here in the Atlanta 250.
Becumer's been pretty strong. He was in the Truck Series Final Four last season, and he was also in the ARCA Final Four, I believe. Actually, no, trucks are ongoing. He was in the ARCA Final Four, and he's in the truck playoffs as of right now. And Caleb Becumer is also in the top 10 in the 2003 series. I believe he is 10th in points right now. He might even be like 12th in points, but he's having a very good season. Running, the 2003 car with the high horsepower. Like he's doing a really good job. And this is a guy who's pretty new to these kind of stock cars. He's more of he's not even really a ton of racing background is Caleb Becumer, but he has gotten into it. I think he's Tyler Fody's coworker, and he's adapting and he's growing, and we're seeing him kind of blossom as a driver. That's pretty cool to see. Base car is off. Tyler Fody is going to be on the loud pedal. Scott Crump going to give him a bump and get them started up here as the Lake Norman teammates working out a nice little restart. Fody to the race lead. Crump to second. Tooker trying to hang on the outside of Scott Crump. I think Crump's clear. He's going to move right up in front of David Tooker and get that clean air all to himself in that 90 car.
And now it'll be interesting to see how those two work together out front. What won't happen working together is behind them. You already see Chad Frankenfield, David Tooker battling, Jonathan Cutlip behind them. We've seen pretty early on that if you get these front 2 or 3 will get singled out, but then it just gets really hairy behind them as everybody's looking for that clean air.
Oh my! Not to mention, you've got the clean air hunt for these guys, but you're also in a track position hunt because there's a significant amount of draft in this next gen car. You can really pull up to the guy behind you that you're running behind. So, like, you feel like, oh well, I drove up to him, I can make a pass, and then so you move to whatever lane he's not running, and that's how you're getting all this side by side action as contact between a Leighton Norgard and Chad Frankenfield there into turn one. Norgard now going to use that outside line to try to power around the 15 car of Frankenfield. He will do so. Norgard into P5. Gavin Hibbs now works to the outside of Chad Frankenfield for P6. Gavin Higgins will slot in behind. And Zach, once again, the Hibbs and Higgins, the Gavin H's rather, nose to tail again. They spent multiple races this season nose to tail.
No, we've seen a lot of that this season. And just behind that, Justin Wadsworth, he started well back into field. He's picked up 19 spots. He's up to that 9th position. We were talking about him being mired in traffic earlier. Now he has worked his way into the top 10.
Work by Justin Wadsworth. Just behind him, it's Jesse Racimus and Sean Judson battling it out. And I'm pretty sure this is as high as I've seen Sean Judson in the running order this season, making his first foray into the Belly Up Sports Cup Series. But a new driver trying to earn some trust out here, and what better way to earn some trust than battling at Atlanta? You just keep your car off of the drivers around you, and keep it clean, and you'll earn some trust with those guys. You're battling against Seth Rawls, Ray Bracey, Corey Abbott, guys who are stalwarts in this league, been around for a couple of years now, and what better way than to go hunting for a top 10 finish here in stage number 1? We only got 8 laps to go.
Yeah, another one of those guys you've mentioned has had some good runs in the Rev Limit Workshop Development Series, but just still learning the ropes to try and put it together here in the Belly Up Sports Cup Series. And like you say, a very strong run for him so far tonight.
I think he's going to be able to hold off this 10th place without a challenge from those guys behind. You got Bracey, you've got Corey Abbott, Jaden Racimus rather in the 1 car, but just behind him it's Garrison Hogan, Daniel Gore, and Zach Novak all working towards the 10th place right now. So there's some definite danger on hand for Sean Judson as he's even falling outside that now. It's Jesse Racimus currently sitting in 10th. So I guess I just read the scoring pylon wrong, which is fine. I'm trying to adjust to the new iRacing setup, just like everybody else right now. But that battle for 10th is certainly not over, as the battle for 2nd is on. Scott Crump and Jonathan Cutlip just about made contact off turn 4.
And David Tooker is looking for anywhere to go. And so behind him are Gavin Hibbs and Chad Frankenfield. Chad went all the way to the bottom. That allowed Leighton Norgard to just rocket around him on the outside. Chad Frankenfield really just trying to make anything work at the moment.
It's his battle for stage points. These guys are all hoping to grab some of those precious points. And David Tooker into the outside wall off of turn 4. That doesn't seem to have slowed down this 19 car in the slightest. A big bump draft to the back bumper of Jonathan Cutlip. Tooker trying to push Cutlip forward back to the back bumper of Scott Crump. Gavin Hibbs works the outside against Tooker after the slight loss of momentum, and they'll be side by side for the 4th position, with the pole sitter falling back to 5th.
And you saw immediately Tooker jumping in front of a Leighton Norgard the first chance he got. Once a Leighton Norgard worked his way by, or Gavin Hibbs rather, and trying to maintain that upper groove.
Groove seems to be the way right now. You can play defense up there really nicely, and you can kind of gain that momentum down the straightaways. The guy working it to the best right now is Zach Novak in the 42 car. He is 12th, looking for some stage points here with just 3 laps to go in the stage. Novak has gone by Bracey. He's gone by Judson. He's working now against Seth Rawls, and this time he ducks to the bottom of the racetrack, but he'll be held up behind Jesse Racimus and Gavin Higgins. Not anywhere to go for Zach Novak or Seth Rawls as they try to get into the top 10.
Zach Novak, of course, a name very familiar in iRacing circles, a former eNASCAR iRacing Coca-Cola Series champion, doing battle here, working his way towards the top 10 tonight. He's won with us already this season.
2 times, I believe, for Zach Novak. 2 laps to go in the stage. Tyler Fody has it over Scott Crump, Jonathan Cutlip, Gavin Hibbs and David Tooker continue to battle for the 4th position. The real battle is going to be for that 10th spot where Novak, Rawls, Rosimus, and Higgins sit side by side, mired in traffic. They really can't go anywhere. It's going to take a Herculean effort from Novak or Rawls to really get by one of these guys. Rosimus and Higgins still side by side in front of Rawls and Novak. They just can't go anywhere, Zach.
They can't, but I guarantee they're going to try one more time around for this stage. Worth noting for new viewers, it's not like NASCAR where we'll get the caution at the end of this stage. We will stay green. So, no timeout, no refresh for these guys battling for these stage points.
Are important. Jesse Rasimus was on the charter bubble a few weeks ago, and that 80 cars. I think Chad Frankenfield and David Tooker into each other. Rawls goes flying around the outside at the line. Tyler Fode wins the stage. Tooker will get no stage points whatsoever. He's in the grass. There's your top 10. It'll be Rasimus, Higgins, Frankenfield that get it at the line. Novak breaks into the top 10 just after. Now they're 3 wide with Bracey, Judson, a wild finish to the stage. David Tooker's the driver that's worse for wear after all that. He got no stage points, and the pole sitter falls way to the back.
And we'll take a look here and see exactly what happened to set all of that off. Going into turns 3 and 4, David Tooker to the inside of Chad Frankenfield. And they just kind of meet in the middle. Tooker's got to say Chad came down. Chad's got to say Tooker got into him. They save it, but like you said, David Tooker, the big loser on that exchange.
Tooker has fallen all the way back to 36th on the grid, so not what you wanted to see for the pole sitter and the fans of the Pro Edge number 19 tonight. I was going to say, speaking of Pro Edge, and pull Ethan Burrell up here, but he has left the infield care center, so it looks like we did not get words with driver 37 after all. We'll go back to the racing, where it is still pretty chaotic in the middle of this top 10 area. Oh, caution is out now.
Now we have a caution.
Car spinning in turn 2. I think it's Frank Fode. No, it's not. It was a blue car, though. Gilberto.
Oh, he's got the telltale engine smoke trailing behind car.
Oh, what happened to Mojo?
So this has happened in the checkup here. What happened to Mojo?
And they were that was the pack they were racing pretty hard. It's like there's contact right there between Corey Abbott and Ray Bracey.
Let's see here. Yeah, a little bit of contact from the 21 of Abbott to Ray Bracey, and now he's trying to get back going again, and I think that's got to lead to the... Oh, there was... Is that where...
That was where Gilberto.
Okay, so that they had actually gotten by, I guess?
Yeah, I thought it was Matthew Weeks that was the car that got a piece of Gilberto, but I think it might have been Netcode. Because Gilberto pulls turning the car as hard as he can, but he's also checking up, and Weeks is kind of in the gas. He knows Bracey's up to the top. Yeah, there's the contact. I'll put contact in quotation marks because that looked more like a piece of netcode.
It started with a small piece of netcode, and then a larger piece of netcode is actually what turns Gilberto Javier head on into the outside wall, and that's what does the almost certainly race-ending damage to that 85 car. As you can see, I mean, even there while it's parked, you see the smoke from the hood. It's still rolling. He's got to try to get it repaired, but I don't think he's got to like what he sees once he finally gets that car in its stall. I have a feeling it's got to be a very large number beside required repairs, if it's a number at all.
Yeah, that's tough for Gilberto. Zach Novak won the race off pit road. Tyler Fode, Scott Crump, Jonathan Cutlip, Gavin Hibbs, the cars that followed. And here's the group that stayed on the racetrack. And again, Johnny Thomas leading the charge on these guys just trying to grab some track position. You've got a bunch of guys that, now that they have track position, are certainly contenders for this win. Matthew Weeks, Ethan Stanley, Tate Lytle, none of them can make passes in traffic. All of them are now in the top 4, and then you've got Novak, Fode, as I mentioned, on down to Seth Rawls in 10th.
And what's really interesting here is we kind of talked about it earlier at the onset, like, oh, we probably want roughly 50-ish laps for a run, right? Well, that's basically what all these guys who just pitted have given themselves to the end of the race. Obviously, we'll probably see some more cautions to intervene with that, but that's roughly what they're game planning right now. And even guys that stayed out here, Johnny Thomas, Matthew Weeks, fuel mileage wise, you're still probably looking at roughly that same number, maybe a little earlier if your fuel can't go that far, but you're not that far off of the playbook. Pretty much everybody here is probably looking at one stop from here to the end.
I think you're right. And I doubt Johnny Thomas and Tate Lytle and Ethan Stanley are really in trouble, and Matthew Weeks as well here. You know, Johnny might be, right? No, they all got 20 laps on them. It's tough. They'll have to go theoretically 40 laps to 100.
They'll pretty much have to run it dry. They'll pretty much have to run it dry, but it's doable.
And it doesn't seem like we're going to be running 60 consecutive flag laps tonight. These cars are these cars are just too on top of each other right now. So just get track position any way you can, and then hopefully wind up at the front of the field at the end of the race. That's kind of the strategy right now for these guys. Pace car is off. Johnny Thomas, the control car here. He is on the loud pedal. He'll pull Tate Lytle up alongside his former teammate Matthew Weeks. Lytle working with the Lake Norman cars this season as one car is driving through the grass. Zach, I don't think that's the right lane. I don't even know who it was. Carlos Acosta went driving through the grass, unfortunately, in the 02 Inca Cola car. No caution. We stay green. Johnny Thomas continues to lead over Weeks. Tate Lytle, Ethan Stanley, and then it's Fody and Novak. Ooh. They are Stanley and Lytle are battling hard. Novak checks up. Scott Crump's going to jump to the inside of the 42, and they're all over each other still down the front straightaway and into turn one. Novak loses that spot to Crump in the checkup, but I mean, I think that's you say that discretion is the better part of valor. That was a business decision from Zach Novak, and look, he's still losing spots right now, but I don't think he's really all that alarmed by it. This group is racing really hard right now.
He is certainly in the thick of it at the moment. I think you're absolutely right. He's trying to minimize the risk at the moment, but now you see just how tight there Tate Lytle and Jonathan Cutlip running there as they battle for the fourth position. And then that's going to allow Scott Crump to get a run here off of turn two, but he may have washed up the hill a little too much. Then Jonathan Cutlip's got to jump inside of 3 wide into battle for second.
Tyler Fody and Jonathan Cutlip both got around Johnny Thomas, got a little piece of the wall off turn two. Stanley now washes up. Weeks washes up. Cutlip to the race lead. Tyler Fody into second. Weeks losing more spots. He'll fall behind Thomas. He falls behind Lytle. Now almost contact with Scott Crump as Matthew Weeks really out of the groove and losing spots rapidly. Looks like that 11 car just really pushed tight on corner exit of turn 4, and now he's really blocking up this pack a little bit. The clean air is to the nose of the 5 car at the moment. It is Jonathan Cutlip who is making it work the best of anybody. And then you've got Fody, Thomas, Lytle, and Novak now back up into 5th.
Oh, contact there between Norgard and Frankenfield. They keep it straight, though. I mean, just absolute chaos back here. Now Tate Lytle trying to gather his car back up. He'll try and get in front of Johnny Thomas, who is trying to fend off Scott Crump. And kind of lost in all of that chaos. I mean, what a power move there from Jonathan Cutlip to take it 3 wide and go basically from 4th to 1st in about half a lap.
Jonathan Cutlip has been really running well in our other series, right, on Monday nights. He's won a couple of races in a row at this point, and in the trucks, he went and picked up a win at Nashville last month. Like, Jonathan Cutlip is really on a roll right now, and it seems like that he might finally be able to translate that over into a Belly Up Sports Cup Series success, because this 5 car has been rocket fast all season long. It just hasn't been able to seal the deal in one of these races.
I believe that was Kurt Gibson we saw rejoining the pack, staying on the apron with his damage repaired, trying to salvage some points here.
Yep, Kurt obviously involved in that damage with Blake Reynolds earlier in the evening. It is Cutlip out front by nearly over half a second as Rawls now jumps to the inside of Matthew Weeks and Johnny Thomas. Johnny rises up the track and gets a little piece of the wall. Rawls almost a little piece of Matthew Weeks there in their battle for sixth right now. Rawls will have to roll out of the throttle. That'll allow Gavin Hibbs to roll alongside. Ethan Stanley still stuck top three wide. Honestly, we saw the 10-lap tires work pretty well. I think it was about 10 laps for Caleb Becumer, Johnny Thomas, and some of those other guys early in the race. They had about 10 laps on the tires. This time it was 20 laps on the tires for Tate Lytle, Matthew Weeks, Johnny Thomas, Ethan Stanley. It is not as helpful right now, I don't think. These cars are worse than they were with the 10-lap tires. The wear is definitely kicking in. You see Matthew Weeks is not a guy that I would typically see running the top 10 laps into a run, but here he is just using that to hold on to P6 right now. Contact, Sean Judson around into Daniel Gore. Gerald Campbell is in the wall. Caution is out, and those guys will get a chance to come and strap 4 new tires on it.
And we'll have to see who all got damage in this incident, because definitely multiple cars involved there. You see Michael Goodman turned around in turn 3. We'll take a look at the Revelist Photography replay machine. Ryan Gable and Sean Judson coming together to set this one off.
Like RC Anderson also got a piece of Judson, not damage inducing per se, but
maybe in some net code there.
Sent Judson back around. Daniel Gore got a piece of Judson, and then Gerald Campbell and Corey Abbott got into the wall to avoid. And then I think Michael Goodman is the final car to get caught up in this, and it's going to be because he's trying to avoid Sean Judson.
Yeah.
Hits the transition onto the apron and slides this 44 car up the track. Not in the wall, not in the wall. Oh, that's perfect.
Just a kiss. Just a kiss. I think he'll be all right.
Oh yeah, no damage on that 44 car. We've certainly a Goody. Well, Goody's one of those guys where, he's put it in the fence before. And several times in avoidance of a crash, and this time I wouldn't even say it gets lucky. He did a good job of woeing it up, getting out of the way, and getting on the binders.
I was actually thinking about this, looking at quick shifts, looking at some of the other races, some incidents I've been in on Thursday nights, and some of the incidents we've seen here in the Belly Up Sports Cup Series. A lot of people a lot of drivers, namely me, will make a point to yell at guys when they don't hold the brakes, because it leads to your car, when it's out of control, being unpredictable on the racing surface while other people are trying to avoid you while you're crashing. We don't talk about enough how much it helps you when you are crashing to minimize the damage to your own car versus trying to save it, trying to fight it, accelerating yourself into a wall, whatever the case may be. We really, it's super, super helpful to just, when you realize you're past the point of no return, lock it down. And that's what really helped Michael Goodman there.
Right. No, you've hit the nail on the head. It's a wonderful point, and it's it's something that if you're a young driver out there watching this series, or maybe you're going, I kind of want to get into this racing stuff. It looks pretty fun. It is fun, first of all, but second of all, one of the number one things you can do is you see like smoke and stuff and crashing, and you maybe are about to get involved in a wreck, or hell, you've gotten involved in a wreck. Someone hit you and now you're spinning out. Don't just throw your hands up in the air, take your feet off the pedals, get your foot on the brakes, stay driving it, get your foot on the brake pedal, and get slowed down. You'll catch less cars in the wreck. You might even save your car, right? You might even, just like Michael Goodman did, right? You stay on the brakes. You might even just keep your car in one piece. And hey, maybe you never know what happens. Maybe you have a pile up here, and Michael Goodman finishes 20 spots higher because he kept the car on the racetrack and didn't just, I got caught up in the wreck. Let me just nose it into the fence and quit it out, right? Like it's an attitude thing, I think, even more so than a skill issue, right? If you can just keep your head when you're wrecking, you'll take out less cars and you'll hurt yourself less.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So we had a bunch of pitting. Matthew Weeks was the first car to pit. He is 21st now. Chad Frankenfield, Ethan Stanley, Johnny Thomas will be trying to claw their way forward from the back of the field. Up front, it is Jonathan Cutlip, the race leader. You've got Tyler Fody, Scott Crump, Zach Novak, and Tate Lytle, the top 5. Gavin Hibbs and Seth Rawls Jesse Rasimus, Leighton Norgard, and Gavin Higgins rounding out the top 10 as we get ready to restart after our 7th caution flag of the evening. Lap 79 of 163. Pace car is off. Cutlip is on the loud pedal. We are racing once again. Another bump draft from those Lake Norman Chevys on the bottom of the racetrack. Unfortunately for them, Novak got a pretty good jump when Cutlip went fired off from that outside lane, and he was able to pin Tyler Fody to the bottom of the track here. They'll be side by side for second, and Jonathan Cutlip, he'll be out front with the clean air. And Zach, I don't think anybody on equal tires has made a pass for the lead in this race tonight on the racetrack under green.
I was told there would be no math.
Yeah, I would love to see it here. Zach Novak working the outside lane, Tyler Fody working the bottom of the racetrack, trying to find a way around Jonathan Cutlip. Cutlip just running the middle of the track right here, kind of a defensive line, waiting for that clean air to kind of take over, let him kind of pull away from these guys. It's worked for him the entire last couple of laps of this race since this 5 car has been able to grab the lead, but it's worked for just about anybody who's gone up and tried to lead this race. They've just been able to drive away from everybody chasing them. Right now it's working again. Cutlip up to 0.2 of a second. You're watching that lead grow as Novak and Fody run side by side behind. Hibbs, Crump chasing them down. Tate Lytle still on the racetrack. I think he's still got the older tires in that 56 car. But if there's somebody who can keep the right front of the car, it is Tate Lytle. And now Fody tightens up, loses that second spot battle to Zach Novak. Novak still working the outside lane. He'll try to go out and grab the race lead away from Jonathan Cutlip.
We go on board with Zach Novak absolutely ripping the fence here around 1 and 2 here at the legacy version of the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Builds up that run and stays right behind Jonathan Cutlip, I noticed there, giving a little bit of a bump. Did not jump at the first opportunity to try and dive it to the inside. I think he knows that's not the winning move, right? Just stay in line, keep trying to build up that run, wait for the opportunity it's going to take to jump out front, because, like you say, that dirty air is such a huge factor right now.
Very interested to see, we talk about people ripping the wall and, maybe we'll call it, running, burning their tires off, right? Trying to use the outside lane. And I wonder if Zach Novak is burning the tires. Then I also wonder, is Zach Novak doing something that, you got that pro experience, right? I think you mentioned it earlier. Some of these pro guys can probably run that outside lane without burning the tires off the car. And, is he performing it in such a method that is, keeping the tire wear pretty nice and neutral on this 42 car? It looks very smooth through the center of the corner. He's kind of wrapped it really close to the wall where he doesn't actually make any sudden movements to try to turn down the racetrack. And to my understanding of how this racing simulator works, the smoother you are, the less lanes you're turning across, the better the tire wear will be. It doesn't really matter whether that's on the outside or the low side. It's just a lot harder to get it on the outside. You're so much closer to the wall, and where your mistakes are a lot more significant, and it's a lot easier to kind of overturn the wheel to the left and turn across the lanes, burn the right front tire off the car. That's why people don't do it.
And it's worth noting, I mean, we can obviously, there are probably Wikipedia pages that have all of Zach Novak's accomplishments, and Jonathan Cutlip is, in some ways, the underdog in this battle, but if there was ever a track where he was going to be able to take the fight to somebody like Zach Novak, you look at the tracks he has historically performed well at here in the Cup Series. Led 160 laps one time in a Southern 500. High-banked, intermediate track. Last season, won at Homestead, Miami. 1.5 miles, lots of racing lanes, very much the same style of racetrack. Obviously a different shape, but very similar style. I think if you're going to see Jonathan Cutlip, I mean, really, like we've seen so far, stay up front, battle with a guy like Zach Novak, a place like Atlanta's a great place for it.
You're absolutely right. And it's also, I think, a place where if you are the race leader, you have the advantage, right? We saw it last week with Novak battling with Ethan Stanley. Stanley had the advantage as the race leader for the entirety of that final stretch, and Novak could not catch up there and pass Ethan Stanley. And ultimately resulted in the 91 car taking the win instead of the 42. And Jonathan Cutlip is in that same position that Ethan Stanley was last week, right? Dumping the dirty air onto the nose of the 42. And Novak expressed it in his interview last week. It's just tough to pass in this next-gen car. It's tough to pass when you are in the second spot because you don't control that dirty air, and it's just a little too true to real life for my liking, Zach. I just don't like how this car drives because that's exactly the problem that you have in real life where these guys just cannot pass.
We may or may not have had an argument over exactly this topic over adult beverages while in Chicago a couple of weekends ago. But that's fine. That's what we love.
Racing is always going to be racing is the end of the story, at least. And for now, these guys are putting on a good show. We haven't really been covering it, but if you'll go back, Dave, to Ethan Stanley or so in the field, this is where the battle is. Matthew Weeks, Ethan Stanley, R.C. Anderson, Seth Rawls, the 91 and the 11 are trying to cut through the field on fresher tires. And they are doing so quite successfully, I might add. Chad Frankenfield is another car rolling through the field on fresh rubber as well. But they're hoping this race goes green for sure because they will have the advantage as this run continues to go on. Weeks and Stanley are those top two cars on those fresh tires.
Yeah, of course, we've talked a lot about quote-unquote pro drivers as far as pro sim racing drivers, but for especially fans watching for the first time here on the Belly Up Sports YouTube channel, R.C. Anderson, actual legitimate pro race car driver, like the real kind. A driver that has made a start in the NASCAR Cup Series at Watkins Glen International, a driver that has competed in the Indianapolis 500-mile race in the real world, former competitor across several of the American Open Wheel Series on his road to the IndyCar Series. And a name we're very familiar with here in the Elite Racing League. Lots of wins, lots of accolades, and currently trying to work his way into the top 10 here, battling with Ethan Stanley.
Guys, when it's one of those things where R.C. Anderson, for as talented a driver as he is, he's also a very successful Belly Up Sports Cup Series driver as well on top of that, right? Like, it's just extra feathers in an already very crowded cap for R.C. Anderson. But he's got a bunch of wins. He's contended for championships, though never been able to kind of meet the schedule. As Crash, Jesse Racimus is around on the back straightaway. That's going to be one of those Atlanta non-cautions, I believe, unfortunately for Jesse Racimus. We will need to see whether race control will be able to throw a yellow. I don't know that for a single car spin they would. They might, however, give Ryan Gable a tally. And Zach, did Gable get a tally for that last caution? I didn't see it when we were on.
I'm trying to remember
break.
now. I should have written it down. He did.
Yeah, he did. So that'd not be. It's about the exact same incident that happened the first time.
Very similar.
I'm not sure if Gable's got some net code or if he's just misjudging the spot where that right front corner of the car is sitting. Obviously, Gable, a very experienced driver with enough car control and awareness to not run into the guy the same way a couple of different times. But I guess you never know. Let's see what race control decides. They obviously had a couple of laps to throw the yellow. They have not, so I believe we will stay green here. Lap 96 of 163 in the Atlanta 250 on the Belly Up Sports YouTube channel. How's it going, everybody at home? We are closing in on the final, I think, set of pit stops. I think we're closing in on the window where you can make it to the end from here, and we'll probably start to see pit stops here. Zach Novak is challenging Jonathan Cutlip for the lead up front, and closing in on them is Tyler Fode. He's cut the deficit just about in half from what it was before. So Tyler Fode is starting to eat into the race lead, which is currently a battle for the lead between Cutlip and Novak, and Novak's continued to work that bottom. Cutlip to the top, but I think it's going to be Zach Novak here on corner exit. Zach Novak does clear Jonathan Cutlip for the race lead. The first green flag pass for the lead of the evening comes on lap 97. I think Dave has stepped away here. We'll see if Dave comes back and knocks us up to the race lead, where it is a 3-car battle now between Zach Novak, Jonathan Cutlip, and Tyler Fode. There we go. Novak has cleared Cutlip for the lead. You've got Tyler Fode sitting in third now. He has eaten into that lead quite significantly. Last lap by, he was 0.4 faster than Cutlip and 1/10 faster than Novak. So I think the 40 car might have a little bit more pace than these two leaders, but it's going to be all about that dirty air if he can actually, get up here and make a pass.
Even out front, a little surprised to see Novak. I mean, who am I to question him? But running the fence, even now that he's out front, not exactly a. I mean, I guess it is defensive in the sense that it's going to be. You're not going to be able to build that run to the outside of him. But I was expecting to see a little more aero blocking. But it seems he's very content to just stick to the outside lane and dare somebody to pass him to the inside.
And he's pulling away from Jonathan Cutlip right now. Cutlip seems to have run the tires off of that
Who
car.
am I to question him?
Yeah, it seems to be that you can make that outside work. You just have to be really smooth with it. It is what I'm kind of reading from this, because Novak spent a lot of early laps in this run, way up at the wall as well. And what we've seen from guys who've run the wall and run it to where the tires have fallen off the car is if you do that and you're not smooth with it, you can really easily, even just a couple of laps up there can really damage your tires. But Zach Novak seems to have done it in such a way that, the tires are still quite good on this 42 car, and he's able to bypass Jonathan Cutlip and try to hold him and Tyler Fode both at bay.
And I'll be very curious as we get further into this run. We should be closing in on 4-year guys like Tate Lytle.
Mm-hmm.
We should be seeing them come down pit road here shortly, I would imagine.
Tate's probably got another 5-10 laps of fuel in the car, but he's going to need to hit pit road here at some point, and that the window is open to make it to the end from here. So you see there 56 laps. I mean, he's really only got about 5 to 10 more laps of fuel in this 56 car, and he's parlayed it into an 8th place run to this point. He's really been able to save things well. They do give a racing incident to Ryan Gable, who will remain in the race with that call.
What Tate would love to see is a caution right about meow.
Yep.
Because what he definitely doesn't want, like maybe an undercut can work if he pits and then we cycle all the way through, but what he definitely doesn't want is a caution while he's a lap down because he's the only guy on pit road. As we see, Corey Abbott will actually bring his car to pit road.
The car that was damaged in one of our earlier incidents tonight, and Corey is, I think, a lap down just as they got to him. He pulled down and headed to pit road. Novak continues to lead. Here's the look at Tate Lytle. Whether or not this 56 is going to make his move towards pit road, he will not. A lap by Brent Jones, just in front of the battle for 9th between Chad Frankenfield and Garrison Hogan. It's almost not a battle any longer. It's almost contact.
I don't know that I've ever seen this much paint traded at Atlanta.
They have been rather rough with it today, I think. And here comes Tate up the racetrack to kind of, like we've talked about, that aero blocking. Oh, Jonathan Cutlip just at the wall for second. Cutlip got a piece of the wall, ran the top, and wound up bouncing off of it and giving second place over to Tyler Fode. So we'll see if the 5 car has hurt it all. Oh, Carlos missed pit road. Carlos tried to follow Ty McIntosh down pit road and did not make it.
That's got to be super costly because not only has he obviously slowed down, he's missed pit road. Now he's going to have to get back up to speed, go back around, try again next lap. What have we got here?
Is Chad mad at Tate? Tate's mad at Chad.
Okay.
Let's see what for. Coming up in front of him? Oh,
Okay.
all right. Tate's about to pit though.
I don't.
He's pitting right now. Tate is pitting this lap, so in as much as it's annoying, Tate is on pit road. So
I'm sure it looked a lot closer in the cockpit.
right, yeah, that's far be it from a race car driver to even mildly exaggerate the potential slight at which they were given,
Especially when it comes
during a
from the
race.
15 car.
Right. Yeah. And Chad
Chad
Frankenfield made a
apologized.
move in front of me. Yeah. Oh, well, there you go.
Wow.
See where Tate comes up.
Ooh, did he make
Ah.
it? Did he make it, David?
Let's look. I've got a black flag for Jaden Racimus. Let me look for Ethan Stanley. I do not see any black flag.
All right. Attaboy,
He
Ethan.
made it. Used up all the good on all four of those Goodyear tires
He's
in order to
done
get her
with them
down to
anyway.
speed.
It's fine. It's fine. We're putting 4 new ones on. That's fine.
Yep. All good. Tracking the battle for the lead upcoming. Tyler Fody just ran a 1/10 of a second quicker than Zach Novak.
Oh.
Oh, and down. RC gets the black flag for speeding on pit entry. And Zach, this is one of the, we talked about it at Darlington. One of the toughest, that is probably the toughest pit road entry on the circuit, but this is one of the toughest pit road entries out there. It's just so sudden coming off turn 4, and you're kind of slowing up in traffic on the racetrack. There's not really anywhere to get down to the apron without losing control of your car. So these guys just have a tough time getting down to pit road speed often at Atlanta.
It's a tough one for sure. I think Darlington's probably the toughest, and then your battle for second is between like Atlanta, Dover's a tough one. Yeah, for sure. This is a much
Richmond
tougher
maybe?
one. Well, I don't know if I've ever made a green flag stop at
Yeah,
Richmond.
that's fair.
I don't know what to tell you about that one, but I didn't make it that far in the 2003 race we did, so I don't know. But oh, trouble!
Oh, big trouble. Racimus, is that Novak involved?
Novak got a piece of it. It happened right in front of him, it looks like.
Seth Rawls also a piece of this wreck.
Oh, man.
Novak has significant front nose damage.
And of course, all
Whoa.
those guys who had pitted are trapped a lap down. They're going to probably have to take the wave around here. We'll take a look at the incident itself. One what a turn of event.
Oh,
What happened here?
Seth had already wrecked. Seth had been wrecked. And this is one of them cases of Atlanta, the no cautions at Atlanta.
Yeah, if we can look at Seth Rawls here.
Seth Rawls, 25 is the one we got to go to here. There's smoke.
see
He's
the
already wrecked. He's trying to get back up to speed. Oh, but he spins
and
the
it spins
tires.
the tires right in front of Racimus and Novak.
Nowhere for Zach Novak to go. Oh my goodness. Jesse Racimus has been removed from the server. I think he was saying some things unhappily. Zach Novak has simply
Okay,
said,
so this is pit exit. He has spun the tires on pit exit and lost control, trying to get back onto racing surface, which I saw that a couple of times in practice. Guys having trouble on the pit exit. We'll get a look here at real time from Seth Rawls. You see he is finishing his pit stop, trying to get up to speed. And of course, you're trying to maximize this on a green flag pit stop. You want to get every bit of speed you can, maximize. He's staying on that. But right there, it catches a transition. Yep. And then he actually does a pretty good job of saving it at this point and keeping it on the apron so it doesn't bring out a caution. This part, you can't ask for anything more from Seth Rawls. But then, unfortunately, he's trying to get up to speed, and there's the wheel spin right up in front of Jesse Racimus, and, of course, collecting Zach Novak as well. I mean, just a terrible break for Racimus and Novak. Man.
I as we look on board with Zach Novak, who, he's instantly out of the gas. There's just nowhere to go.
Oh.
I think it's rather telling the professional driver. I mean, we'll call it what it is. He's moonlighting in a series with guys who are, for him to have some fun and race with some different people than he's racing with on Tuesday nights. I mean, his response to this was, "You're good. Stuff happens." And Jesse Racines was removed from the server for whatever was being said there. So I would say I'm rather impressed by Zach Novak. He would be well within his right to be saying angry things at Seth Rawls for costing him a chance at a race win here, and that's an impressive response from a guy that's, I mean, hoping to be a champion on Tuesday nights.
And I have to sympathize with Novak as well, because you could tell he went low to avoid Rawls spinning up the hill, but then of course Rawls just comes right back down in front of him after the contact with Racines. Now what this does, of course, completely shuffles the deck, resets this race. We'll try to get this kind of laid out for you as we get ready to restart. You see all these guys able to pit under yellow. Tyler Fody winning the race off pit road. Garrison Hogan in second. As near as I can tell, it looks like all of the guys who had pitted under green took the waiver around here and will be able to restart on the lead lap, with the exception of Carlos Acosta, probably, who I can only assume lost more than one lap. It looks like maybe Ray.
They all did get on the lap. Yeah, Ray was a couple laps down. He got damage from that earlier wreck. Yeah, I think they all did take the wave around. I think Tate Lytle got the lucky dog.
And RC had the speeding penalty, so that's another one that is currently a lap down.
There you go. So those guys are going to hope for another yellow flag. Zach Novak's got crash damage. He's back in the field. It's Tyler Fody with the race lead on the outside lane. Green flag is back out. Fody trying to pull Scott Crump through around Garrison Hogan. Dave, you might have to correct me. I think Hogan took 2 tires. He was mired closer to Chad Frankenfield in 7th. He was battling Chad Frankenfield for 7th on that long green flag run. Picked up 5 spots on pit road. That tells me that was more of a 2-tire call for that 55 car, and we'll see if that works out for him here. But that's going to be risky.
You're correct.
His
11 seconds hit time.
Yep, 2 tires for Garrison Hogan. Doesn't appear to matter right now. He's holding strong in 3rd. Gavin Hibbs to 4th. Matthew Weeks up into 5th alongside Jonathan Cutlip. Cutlip got caught by Zach Novak, and it's kind of snowballed on him a little bit. He's back into 6th. Hogan's challenging Scott Crump for the 2nd spot. You think 2 tires helps you rotate a little bit better?
It might. I know that was a popular strategy in the trucks at one time for that reason. Free up some of these tighter iRacing setups in this fixed series.
Contact between Josh Adams and Justin Wadsworth for the 8th position here. Or rather, the 9th position. Wadsworth working the bottom lane. Josh Adams up in the top. Just on the back side of your screen, the orange and black cars there. That's the first battle side by side amongst this field that has single filed out. Now Matthew Weeks challenges Gavin Hibbs for the 4th spot. Chad Frankenfield up into the outside wall just in front of that side by side battle. Josh Adams has to lift.
Now Wadsworth to the inside of Chad Frankenfield.
Woo.
They almost met in the middle there, but Wadsworth able to get the run off the corner. Is he going to be able to clear the 15 car? I think he could have if he wanted to. Maybe not. No, they're side by side still. What's depth perception? Who needs it anyway?
Justin Wadsworth does right now. Drives up again, just about into the back side of Chad Frankenfield. They managed to keep it together here, but this battle for the 7th spot is certainly a close one. Up in front of him, Johnny Thomas is starting to really show some raciness. Jump to the inside of Jonathan Cutlip, and just in front of them, Garrison Hogan again hunting after Scott Crump, watching Tyler Fody drive away a little bit.
Boy, Matthew Weeks really able to make the bottom stick that time. It's going to allow him to get around, well, almost get around Gavin Hibbs, but Gavin Hibbs gets the run out of turn 4. and powers back around on the outside.
You're seeing a lot more defensive driving in this run as Matthew Weeks will clear Gavin Hibbs for P4 right there. These guys using that outside line a lot more exclusively than they did early in the race, a lot more willing to kind of drive on a guy's door, side draft, pull him back, and try and defend their spot. Also using that outside line to try to make passes. Here comes Jonathan Cutlip to the outside of Gavin Hibbs. That is for 5th. Cutlip working back towards the front, so too is Johnny Thomas. He is alongside Chad Frankenfield, but if he plays his cards right, he might be able to get Gavin Hibbs right here coming off of turn 2. Oh, Hibbs got a great run out of 2, actually. Clears up in front of Jonathan Cutlip.
Josh Adams now to the inside of Justin Wadsworth, battling for the 9th position.
Looking back at some of these guys who can maybe try to work their way into the top 10 if this race happens to go green for a little bit. Trey Holmes sitting in 11th right now. Leighton Norgard in 12th. Daniel Gore is 13th. Ryan Schold is 14th. Ryan Gable is 15th. Tate Lytle is back in 16th. He's trying kind of on the comeback trail after that pit stop. The tires are only a few laps old for Tate Lytle, but that disadvantage still working against him, as is the dirty air right now. This battle in the mid-pack rages on. Matthew Weeks is side-by-side with Garrison Hogan. Gavin Hibbs side-by-side with Jonathan Cutlip. And Josh Adams side-by-side with Justin Wadsworth. The battling is in full force, but nobody's really able to break free right now. Even Tyler Fode's not able to parlay that clean air into a lead yet. He and Scott Crump continue to run nose to tail in the race lead for Lake Norman Motorsports. Then you've got the Channel 199 Toyota of Garrison Hogan, followed by the Pro Edge Toyota of Matthew Weeks, and the 2 fueled up Chevys of Jonathan Cutlip and Gavin Hibbs. Chad Frankenfield sideways and around. Trey Holmes is going to get the inside wall as well. No caution yet, but it is a multi-car crash, and the yellow flag is out. Race control has thrown it. Again, the multi-car nature of the crash, the reason the caution is thrown, and luckily race control was on it there, but it looked like contact between Wadsworth and Frankenfield, and that was a battle we had seen brewing for quite some time, and it ultimately results in a crash down the back straightaway.
If I'm not mistaken, that's the second race in a row where Trey Holmes kind of collected in a wreck that has nothing to do with him and ends up taking a hard hit on the inside wall that pretty much ends his evening. We'll take a look here on the Revelist Photography replay machine here. And right about here, I think we're going to see the contact between car 6 and car 15. That's going to turn Frankenfield around right in front of Trey Holmes, who then gets collected by a Leighton Norgard. Nowhere to go for the driver of the 12 car, who may have gotten also a P. I think Daniel Gore missed him, but there may have been some net code between the 69 and the 12 as Daniel Gore was trying to avoid it. Boy, it was awfully close between those two.
Yeah, but ultimately only the 2 cars spin out, and then rather remarkable turn of events there. Worth noting that 3 cars stayed on the racetrack. Everybody else came down pit road. Tyler Fode, Matthew Weeks, Justin Wadsworth were the 3 cars who have stayed on the racetrack here. Everybody else is down pit road for tires and fuel, as Justin Wadsworth will get the tally for this incident. Oh yeah, that's definitely net code, but from Gore into Norgard, that I don't even think Gore got into him on his screen.
But you could definitely see the damage, at least visually, appear on the 12 car, which tough break there, especially on the left rear. It's not the right rear, but that's one of those.
Still,
it doesn't look bad, but it can really upset the handling of these cars, especially at a track like Atlanta.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing that can be rough. So as we work this 9th caution of the day, we will take a quick ad break. We'll be back for the conclusion of the Atlanta 250.
Champions, forged by the pressure of the countdown, will rise. It's where ambition meets asphalt, where some dreams are made and others go up in smoke. With only 4 races to go, the gateway to the West could be the way to win it all. This weekend, the Napa Auto Parts NHRA Midwest Nationals roar at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Get tickets today at WWTRaceway.com and be a part of the NHRA Countdown to the Championship this weekend.
Welcome back to the Atlanta 250. Don't go to Gateway or WWT Raceway this weekend, though. No one's there, but they did put on a great race, and they are a longtime sponsor of the Belly Up Sports Cup Series, and we appreciate what they do. But we would suggest you buy your tickets for 2026 and not for this weekend upcoming, because you will be going to an empty racetrack.
The message I got said, play these starting now, so I did.
The Midwest National, September 26th and 28th. Next weekend. Go next weekend.
Okay. There we go. That's the one you go to. Yeah,
good eye, Zach. Good eye, Zach.
ZMAX this weekend.
About this weekend.
ZMAX this weekend. Worldwide Technology Raceway next weekend. NHRA Countdown to the Championship.
Perfect. Pace car is off. Tyler Fode, one of 5 cars that stayed on the racetrack here. He, along with Matthew Weeks, Michael Goodman, Justin Wadsworth, and Ethan Stanley, all have stayed out on old tires. Fode to the lead, Weeks to second. It's going to be a hornet's nest of guys trying to tear through these older tires and get up to where that clean air is and where the race lead is. Goodman slides up the track in front of Scott Crump. Hogan now works to the inside. Scott Crump's probably not going to be willing to sit in line behind this 44 car for too long. Where can he go? Goody's kind of hogging that outside line. And Scott Crump is going to lose the spot to Garrison Hogan. He's also probably going to lose this spot to Jonathan Cutlip.
Oh, so close there between Ethan Stanley and Justin Wadsworth.
Crump dives to the middle lane. He's even going to cut all the way to the bottom. That dumps a ton of dirty air on Jonathan Cutlip, slows him up. It'll now be Hogan, the top car on tires, with Crump just behind him. Now Crump drives to the bottom of the racetrack. There's a little clean air there. Well, Stanley's way up the track. There's going to be some grip. Goody into the wall. They save it. Everybody's chasing Tyler Fode and Matthew Weeks out front. The 2 older tires. Hey, Goody, stay out of the wall, buddy. Here comes Cutlip working to the outside of Crump. Stanley pushes up. Yep, Goody hits the wall as well. Everybody streams around. Ethan Stanley checked up his teammate there on the outside, and Scott Crump's going to get ahead of the 91 car.
Everybody in the wall. This is Darlington?
Oh, Garrison Hogan smacks the wall.
Maybe this is Eldora.
Yeah, this is wild. Look at this. 3 wide again. Tate Lytle, the car rolling through on the bottom.
4
wide in turn 2. Hibbs to the inside of Crump. Crump working hard against him. Justin Wadsworth, the old tires up top. They're still 3 wide down the back straightaway.
It looks like the start of the Indy 500.
Scott Crump rolls through and gets to the lead of this massive pack of cars. Wadsworth pushes up. He gets a piece of the wall. Gable gets through. Gable to the inside of Gavin Hibbs now for that 4th spot. Cutlip bangs off of Justin Wadsworth. There's still 3 wide. Tate Lytle working the bottom. Here's Gerald Campbell into the top 10.
What on earth is going on?
Just a ridiculous battle here down the last stretch of the Atlanta 250. These guys are putting on a clinic as Scott Crump has the clean air. Gavin Hibbs, the second car with that clean air. Then you've got Cutlip and Gable side by side. Tate Lytle, Johnny Thomas has worked his way through and into 8th spot. Wadsworth continues to fall back. Stanley continues to fall back. They're 3 wide between Campbell, Adams, and Stanley. Campbell's going to be the one to make the move here.
4 wide.
Contact between Adams and Stanley and oh
my gosh.
Here's Ryan Schultz now working to the inside. Paul Mikulicek getting into the mix. They continue to battle in this gigantic snarling pack. Stanley and Wadsworth struggling mightily up in the top groove of the track, and it's just allowing these guys to get huge runs, dive to the inside, jump to the outside, and find ways around. Scott Crump has blown around Matthew Weeks, gotten into second spot, and now here comes Scott Crump with fresh tires going after his teammate Tyler Fode for the race lead. Weeks working back to the inside. He's not going to let that 90 car go without a fight, but Scott Crump is just really, really strong right now on those new tires. Johnny Thomas, a little piece of the wall. Still driving good. Johnny, keep staying in it.
Oh, man.
Weeks is now going to kind of fall victim as he's got that dirty air being dumped on the nose of this 11 car. It's starting to tighten up. Tyler Fode has worked to the outside lane. He's got that clean air, but how much can clean air overcome a 10, 15 lap tire difference that Scott Crump currently has right now on his teammate? I don't know if it can.
I don't even know if I have words for that 10-lap run we just witnessed.
That's incredible. This guy's,
holy cow.
I'm more impressed we didn't wad up 15 of them.
Yeah, no, 100%. Oh my goodness.
Whew. The chance for us to catch our breath. Lap 138 of 163 coming up on effectively 20 laps to go. It's a long time for Tyler Fode to hold off these guys on tires with that clean air very strong. And
well again.
Johnny is really working that outside lane. Here comes Jonathan Cutlip to the inside of Gavin Hibbs, his teammate. I think that'll be a short-lived battle. Cutlip's definitely got the speed to go up here and challenge for this win. He just now he's going to need to go up here and get past Scott Crump, maybe get past Tyler Fode and hold off Tate Lytle. That's not an easy task.
Johnny Thomas undoubtedly saying right now, I paid $14.95 for this trek. I'm going to use every bit of it.
And then some. He's using the wall lane. You're not supposed to be able to use that. Also,
man.
Do you pay for Old Atlanta now? I think it might be because it's a legacy track. It might be free now.
Part of it.
Oh yeah, maybe it's just a layout of Atlanta Motor Speedway now.
Local 2008.
This is where I get caught lying a lot because I don't, some of this stuff I bought 5 years ago and I don't remember the answer to. Somebody was asking me about the non-wing dirt sprint car. How does that work purchase-wise? I don't know. I bought it 4 years ago. Right.
I think I mistook this one here. The new Atlanta was a free upgrade with having purchased Old Atlanta. That's what I was confusing there. Nevertheless, what's not confusing is that Scott Crump is reeling Tyler Fode in. He is roughly running about the same lap times of the 40 car is, but Jonathan Cutlip is a little bit faster than the both of them. And right now, all three are kind of in a spot where the dirty air is really going to play a factor down the stretch. It's going to be a Herculean effort from Tyler Fode to hold off these two fast Chevys behind him. And Scott Crump's his teammate, but Tyler Fode's working back from missing the Daytona 500 due to contact to the back. I think Ty McIntosh was the car sideways there. That caught my eye because a caution would undoubtedly give Tyler Fode a chance to come down pit road and strap on probably 4 fresh tires. But I mean, at this point, would you just take 2? I don't know.
It's the 2 seems. I mean, I'm assuming based on the pit times I'm seeing that is what we're looking at with Scott Crump, and it seems to be working just fine for him at the moment.
2 right side tires, I think, are more than enough at this point in this race. Scott Crump works to the outside of Tyler Fode, but he's not quite alongside at the moment, and that's going to allow Fode to continue to keep that clean air. And these 2 Lake Norman cars have to be careful. They start racing side by side. Jonathan Cutlip is going to drive up to him and drive right around both of them.
It's definitely a tricky spot, especially as strong as Jonathan Cutlip has been. We know if he can get back to the front, he's going to be tough to beat. So how do you play both offense and defense? Here comes Crump.
Oh, loose. Super loose. Oh, it slowed up Cutlip, though. A near perfect accidental block. Fode was entirely trying to save that car. You saw how sideways it was. The benefactor is Tate Lytle. Lytle drives to the inside. He'll fire underneath Jonathan Cutlip. He'll clear the 5 car. He didn't clear the 40 car. Tyler Fode's going to continue to battle. What a perfect turn of events for Scott Crump. I can't imagine the tires on that 40 car are particularly fond of what just went down. I think we may see this 40 car step out again here momentarily. I think when he checked up and then tried to get back in the gas because Scott was coming up the track, he checked up just a little bit. When he got back in the gas, the right rear spun and it hooked that car to the left, and there was just There was nearly no saving it for poor Tyler Fode. He had to get way out of the throttle, and Jonathan Cutlip had absolutely nowhere to go but straight into the back of the 40 car. And it's given Scott Crump a full 1 second lead. I mean, it's going to take a monster effort from one of these guys to run down a full second.
Yeah, I mean, it allowed Tate Lytle to get around Jonathan Cutlip, which means he's got to get first dibs on trying to get around Tyler Fode. He might have it here. Cutlip, man, again, we saw how strong he was earlier in this race. Finishes of third and second in 2 previous starts at Atlanta Legacy here in the Belly Up Sports Cup Series, looking to go 1 spot better, but that was a huge setback he just experienced.
Tate Lytle chasing down his teammate Scott Crump. Remember, Tate Lytle is now a part of the the Lake Norman Motorsports stable at this point. That is a number 56 Chevrolet for the Lake Norman Motorsports group. He hasn't made every race this season. In fact, I believe Tate Lytle has avoided his charter for missing too many races, but he's up here trying to fight for a race win and grab a win for team owner Tyler Fode. Fode's held off Jonathan Cutlip for third for now, but the new tires are really starting to stack up on the back bumper of Tyler Fode. I think it might just be a matter of time before this 40 car winds up either spun out or falling back through this field. Oh man, Tate Lytle picked up a full 10th on Scott Crump that time. This race is not over.
There you see the green numbers indicating the time. Tate Lytle gaining on Scott Crump. And Lytle will be watching that battle intently behind him as well. Tyler Fode, Jonathan Cutlip. Fode may have cut Lytle just a little bit of a break when Lytle had that run. Don't think Jonathan Cutlip's going to get any such favors.
No, I don't think so. Fode's running defensively right now. He's running defensively when those other guys went up and around him as well. And he was running defensively when Scott Crump got there too, but just the act of, I think, getting out of the throttle really upset that 40 car, and it kind of resulted in him sideways and in front of everybody. Looking at the lap times, I mean, Tate Lytle's routinely a 1/10 of a second faster than Scott Crump right now. But he got a little piece of the wall right there. It doesn't seem to have slowed the 56 down any. You can see on our Belly Up Sports Cup Series ticker on the left side that number counting down for Tate Lytle right now. Every straightaway he's making up, just the time is ticking away. 73, 72, 71, 70, 69 now for Tate Lytle. Another lap that was a little bit faster, not quite as big of a gain that time. They were both ran 30.9s.
Yep, 0.03 of a second to pick up that time for Tate Lytle. He needs a little bit more than that if he's going to erase 0.7 of a second in 12 laps.
And getting there, I love it. Larry Mack used to always say, getting there is one thing, passing them is another. And Tate Lytle going to try to bypass not only a teammate in Scott Crump, but a guy that he's raced very hard against a number of times, and also a guy that's hungry for a race win in this series. It's been a while for Scott Crump, and I don't believe he's in the points right now. He hasn't had exactly amazing year to this point. He's had a couple of really good runs. We certainly interviewed him one time, but in the Southern 500. But I mean, Scott could really use a win to lock himself into the playoffs format here. And Tate Lytle is obviously, I don't think is going to make the playoffs, even if he does win a race. So, for the team aspect, Scott Crump would be the preferred answer to who wins this race. But Tate Lytle's certainly going to have something to say about it before the end of this one.
And if you are Tyler Fode or Jonathan Cutlip, you're a pretty huge Tate Lytle fan right now, because if those guys can get racing, that's your best chance to catch up to both of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you need Tate Lytle to get up there and challenge Scott Crump, start running side by side with him. That's about the best chance Jonathan Cutlip is going to have at this point. He is taken way too long to bypass Tyler Fode. The good on the tires of that 5 car are certainly gone, and he's at this point just trying to find any way he can to get around Tyler Fode. Here he is to the inside of Fode once again, but just nowhere to go, as Cutlip maybe trying to jump to the outside of Tyler Fode, trying any which way to get around this 40 car. But one of Tyler Fode's, we'll call it a best trait, is that defensive driving that Tyler Fode puts on. He does this quite a bit. This time it's not for a race win. He's trying to lock out a Lake Norman podium.
Lytle lost a 10th that lap.
Yeah, Tate might have burned his stuff up trying to run Scott down, and not remember Scott has the clean air on the nose of that 90 car. It's certainly going to help him rotate in the center of the corner and power that 90 car off. In fact, Tate Lytle's starting to fall back into the clutches of Tyler Fode and Jonathan Cutlip here. Seven laps to go in the Atlanta 250. Scott Crump with an 0.8 of a second lead over Tate Lytle. The battle is for third between Jonathan Cutlip and Tyler Fode. The battle might soon be for second as Fode continues to reel in his new teammate, Tate Lytle rather, and Jonathan Cutlip's going to have a run to the inside of Tyler Fode here on the front straightaway. It's going to be close. Oh. Jonathan Cutlip has tried both corners of Tyler Fode. He's tried both corners of the racetrack. He cannot find his way around that 40 car right now.
No, oh, did Lytle get a piece of the wall there?
I didn't see it on my end. I think the 56 is okay, but he is certainly slowing up somewhat significantly. I think Scott Crump's starting to fade back just a little bit as well. You're seeing the number, it's 0.6 of a second now. Crump is running in the 31s. Tate ran in the 30s, Fode ran in the 30s, Cutlip in the 30s. So those guys are running faster than Scott Crump right now. And Tate's trying to run the outside lane. It's not the preferred tire saving line we usually see from Tate.
He's got to start getting some bigger bites out of this lead if he's got to get there, though. We're down to 4 laps to go this time by.
Here's Jonathan Cutlip to the outside of Tyler Fode. See if he can't generate a run to get underneath that 40 car. You have Crump 0.7 of a second, then Tate Lytle, Fode, Cutlip, Hogan, and Adams all nose to tail as they try to battle it out for the win in this Atlanta 250. 4 laps to go. Tyler Fode is side by side with Tate Lytle. He is recovered from the slide, recovered from having no fresh tires. Tyler Fode is going to make another challenge for the runner-up spot in this race.
Fode might
cleared him. He got him.
Yes.
Oh man, I'm looking forward to talking to Tyler Fode after this one. We got to figure out, one, why he stayed out on old tires, but 2, how he managed to save that car on that slide in turn 4. He's looking at second. Lytle in the wall. Here comes Jonathan Cutlip to the inside, side by side for third. Lytle trying to side draft the 5 car of Cutlip. Cutlip finally alongside one of these Lake Norman Chevys. Can he make it stick and get around Tate Lytle? That 56 has tightened up dramatically in the last 5 laps. Cutlip would have gotten there if that was the final lap. There's still 2 laps to go.
So tight there off of 2, Tate Lytle, Jonathan Cutlip. You know, Lytle, the last thing he wants to do is bring out a caution that would bring any of these guys to his teammates.
Yep, Tate Lytle trying to defend and hold off for that Lake Norman podium. Gets a little piece of Jonathan Cutlip on corner exit. Doesn't matter. Scott Crump has the white flag. Tyler Fode is close to within 0.4 of a second. Fode might have a chance in 3 and 4 if he gets a really good 1 and 2. I don't think he's going to have it, though. Cutlip clears Tate Lytle for third. It's a battle between the Lake Norman Chevys, but it's all Scott Crump right now as we head towards the final corner. Fode sends it in deep. He will not get there. Off turn 4, the 90 of Lake Norman Motorsports is back in victory lane. Scott Crump will win the Atlanta 250 over Tyler Fode and Jonathan Cutlip. A really fantastic final run by these guys after a very chaotic final yellow flag that took out one of our biggest contenders in this race. And ultimately, it winds up with a Lake Norman 1-2-4 as Tate Lytle was not able to hold on to the podium. Scott Crump picks up a win and a good finish. Clean and green to the end there.
6 career wins now in the Belly Up Sports Cup Series for Scott Crump.
You talk about it, Zach. You mentioned it earlier when he made some contact with Blake Reynolds early in the race. You know, it's one of the more aggressive drivers in the series, one of the guys that you don't want to piss off, but he has been able to, pick up a win just about one every season. It seems like every so often this 90 car will come out with some really good pace. And today he had it, qualified third, led some laps early in the race, ran top 5 just about all night, and was right there in the end to pounce when Tyler Fody stayed on old tires and he was able to pick up the win on the pit strategy call.
What's really surprising with Crump, I mean, obviously, first and foremost, we think of how well he does on the short tracks, right? Obviously, especially Richmond, which is a home track of sorts for him. But he's usually pretty stout on these mile and a halves, and you would think Atlanta would be right in his wheelhouse, but the results just haven't been there for him historically at Legacy Atlanta. Best finish of 16th coming into this race. This is a pretty significant improvement on that record.
You'll absolutely take that for Scott Crump as we watch him burn it down, and we'll quickly go through the finishing order here before we jump to the interviews. Obviously, Scott Crump, Tyler Fody, Jonathan Cutlip, the top 3. Tate Lytle comes home 4th. Josh Adams will finish this off in 5th. You'll have Garrison Hogan 6th, get Ryan Gable 7th. Johnny Thomas beats Daniel Gore to the line in a photo finish for 8th. Matthew Weeks will pick up a top 10 results. Then you've got Gavin Higgins, Chad Frankenfield, Leighton Orgard, R.C. Anderson overcomes the speeding penalty to finish 14th. Paul Mikulajczyk, Ryan Schold, Gavin Hibbs, and Sean Judson with an 18th place result. Gerald Campbell and Ty McIntosh round out your top 20. Ethan Stanley and Justin Wadsworth finished 21st and 22nd after that pit call did not go their way. And then the last cars in the lead lap were Caleb Becumer, Michael Goodman, Trey Holmes, and Michael Hosack. So, let's talk to Jonathan Cutlip and see what he has to say about the finish of that race. So, Jonathan, first of all, congratulations on the podium, but second of all, looked like you had some really good pace tonight, just didn't quite have the track position when it counted.
Yeah, it's sadly one of those things where everyone had the same pace and it was just a track position game, so it's kind of just try to get your spots early because you're not going to be doing anything later.
And certainly early on, you had that track position. You were up front. Is there anything you could have done differently, whether it be on that long green flag run or during one of those late cautions, to try and get yourself in a better position for that final run?
Honestly, I was thinking about taking 2 tires. I felt like the run to the end was going to be too long because usually you can take 2 tires and just play off the air for long enough to where you can just keep your track position, whether that be in first or the top 3. It's one of those things where anything you can do to get track position, you can pretty much negate a 6/10 deficit to the people behind you and hang on to the spot.
Jonathan, you've been close a lot this season. It's a lot of these podium finishes without a win to show for it. It kind of feels like the last couple of years before you had kind of gotten the monkey off your back. What's it going to take to grab one of these race wins when it's just so close up here at the front, battling it out with these guys in a car that, promotes that clean air like we talked about and the ability to drive defensively?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just there's a lot of things that are out of your hands now. You can pretty much just try to put yourself in the best spot that you can and hope it's the right strategy. It's just this car, man. I'm not really sure what to say. There's only so much you can do to make your own destiny, but it's just a lot of it is just unfortunate circumstances.
And before we let you go, Jonathan, who do you have to thank on this podium finish tonight?
Shout out to Race EPI, Loop Internet. Shout out to you guys over here in Elite, Dave, David, and Zach. Hopefully you guys had a decent race to call tonight. Shout out to my race team, Fueled Up Racing. Great group of guys. Always fun to race with them and hang out week to week. Justin Vandermill couldn't be here tonight. He was over in the Netherlands enjoying his nice vacation, so hopefully he's doing well watching the race, and shout out to him. Shout out to my mom. She's super supportive every race. Hopefully we can just get a couple of spots better next week.
Sounds good, Jonathan. Congratulations on P3, and we'll look forward to next week when we assume we'll be talking to you again. You've been so fast this year.
Yeah, hopefully a couple spots later. Have a good night.
That's Jonathan Cutlip. Let's grab the runner-up finisher, Tyler Fody. If I can, I thought I grabbed him. There we go. Tyler Fody, David in the booth. You got me, buddy?
Sir.
Well, let's go back to the pit call there, because I think I'm wondering if you want to have that one back. You obviously stayed out after probably 15 or 20 laps on the tires, and ultimately you were able to save and make it to the end with some pace, but you ended up one spot short. You regret that decision at all, or do you feel like it was the right one still?
No, no, I gotta stick with that call. It's we had done 12 laps. That's what it ended up being, green, and I don't know how obvious it was in the broadcast, but being first, like clean air, was unbelievably like a massive advantage. So good to where it had worked out. I mean, we saw Caleb earlier, Johnny, I think, where they could hold the lead for 10, 15 laps. And yeah, at that point, it was like I'm in first at that point, and if I go, someone else is going to obviously stay out. Which hindsight, it just ended up working out with the tires. But being first there, I just had to prioritize keeping the clean air, and just hoping we had enough people. And the only thing I'm really kicking myself with is obviously I was having to drive Scott, mirror drive Scott, those closing laps, and I just missed it on one of the corners, one of the laps in 1 and 2. I went high, he went low, and was able to kind of grab that left rear all the way down the straightaway, which set him up for a good slider. And I tried to stand on it all the way with him to stay to his outside, and I got the bumps there, got a little loose. But yeah, as far as the call, I don't think I can really go any other way with that. I come in and pit. We still end up with 3 or 4 guys staying out. We got to fight our way through there. Scott or Cutlip or whoever on equal tires may end up jumping me through that traffic, and at that point, it's over. So yeah, I'll stand by the call there. Just wish I could have mirror drove Scott a little better, but I tell you, I was surprised that the tires started coming back to life there in the closing laps. I don't know what would have happened if we had 5 or 10 more, but one thing I do got to say is big props and thanks to John. When I did get loose, he could have drove through me or whatever, and he kind of let me gather it up there, which I know was an awkward spot, but I do appreciate him letting me save it there. So yeah, good result though, 1, 2, 4, and 7, I think. So we'll take it.
And you talk about that moment there out of turn 4 and the save you had to make. Of course, Jonathan Cutlip, it giving you that opportunity to save it, but still you were the man behind the wheel. And what was it like in that moment, A, trying to regain control of that car, and B, getting those tires back under control so you could make that charge at the end? Because we know how sensitive these tires can be after a moment like that.
Yeah, and I tell you, I didn't think it was even possible to get this thing loose tonight with how like tight it was with the dirty air and everything. And there's one little set of bumps, like the top line of 3 and 4, and yeah, I saw Scott obviously was not lifting, trying to slide me, so I was staying wide open with him, just trying to keep that right rear, because had I kept it underneath me, we would have pulled him back down the straight. But yeah, just got the bumps, upset it, and yeah, did a little work there trying to save it, and then I saw John just flying up in the mirror, and I thought we were dead, honestly. But yeah, just a little bit of a scary moment there, and just again, huge props to John there for letting me gather it up.
Take me into your fight to get back into the kind of playoff hunt here. Obviously, you're, I think, in points position now, but you've got Bristol coming up, and that's like a full distance race, and you still got WWT, Rockingham, and Daytona left to go before that kind of playoff wraps up. What are your kind of thoughts going into those next couple of races where you are not as safe as you have typically otherwise been, closing in on the playoffs in past Belly Up Sports Cup Series seasons?
Yeah, Well, I was happy to get a stage win tonight. Get a little more points there, but I don't know where I'm going to stack up. I think I was 16th coming into tonight, so hopefully if we're by the top 10 or into the top 10, that will be nice. I really wanted to win, obviously, to lock that in, but yeah, Bristol and Daytona are kind of one and the same, honestly, with how much of I think a luck factor you're going to have to survive those two races. So it's kind of going to come down to just solid top 5 or 10 finishes at Gateway and Rockingham, and then if we can just kind of pace ourselves and maybe luck out with a couple things at Bristol and Daytona, I think we'll be fine. But the main thing was I was trying to stack up some playoff points or anything to carry my way in. So I think the stage points still give out or the stage wins give out a playoff point. So that'll be beneficial, but we'll see.
And before we let you go, Tyler, of course, who do you have to thank on this runner-up finish tonight?
Yeah, just all the guys there. Lake Norman, really solid run tonight. We were yelling at Tate trying to keep that podium sweep locked down, but he was yelling back to us. He had no right front. So no, just really fun running with all these guys. Like I said, we had 4 in the top 10, and Caleb led some laps tonight too. That was pretty wild to see. And Dad was dodging all the wrecks and was running pretty solidly mid-pack, and his connection or something dropped out. So that was really unfortunate. But always love running with all these guys, and yeah, shout out to them. Shout out to ironically John again for one, not killing me, but also painting all of our paint schemes with JD Designs there. And then you guys up here for putting on the broadcast, running the cameras, and giving us something to watch back.
Appreciate it, Tyler, and congrats on the good run. Obviously, we'll look forward to seeing you back next week. Maybe you can get one spot better, buddy.
Hopefully. Appreciate it.
Tyler Fody, driver of the number 40 Lake Norman Chevrolet. Let's grab the other Lake Norman Chevrolet he mentioned as Scott Crump joins us in the booth. Scott, race winner at Atlanta. You parlayed a good pitch. You parlayed a good pit strategy and into passing your teammate and held him off till the end. Man, take us through that last run.
Yeah, I seen Zach earlier in the race take 2 tires, and I don't know, whatever it did to the car, just made that car take off, especially like middle long run. So tried it out and definitely worked out for me. Dirty air was bad there. As soon as I got to Fody, I couldn't really get to him, and then I changed my line and went real low and just started driving it real hard till I got to him, and then tried to slide, and he tried to drive it in deep with me, and he got loose getting off the throttle there, and that was all I needed there to get the lead. And pretty much once you're out front, it's just super hard to pass somebody here.
I have to admit, for like a half a second, I was really confused. I didn't take 2 tires. No, the other Zach, the much faster Zach, took 2 tires. But Scott, I was talking about after you took the win. You know, it was kind of surprising to me to see your stats here at Legacy Atlanta and see that you've certainly ran well at times, led some laps, but the results just haven't been there. So it has to feel really good to kind of get that monkey off your back and get a win here.
Yeah, Atlanta's pretty much one of my favorite tracks, especially mile and a halves. So usually I run really good here at Atlanta, especially new and old versions. So I just really love this track and always run good here.
And Scott, obviously, you know, to take you into the playoffs, you do get this win that kind of locks you in with our win in your in system. And you know, looking forward, obviously, you've got Richmond in the playoffs. You got that one circled, and you know, maybe hoping you can make a run here deep into this final stretch of the season.
Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna have Richmond circled in the playoffs, and hopefully get another win or so, and maybe get some stage wins, get some extra playoff points, and build enough of a cushion where you don't have to finish 5th every race just to get in. So uh, yeah, so it's definitely going to be tight competition like it is every year, and you just want to build as many points as you can when you get there.
Before we let you go, Scott, who do you have to thank on this win tonight in the Atlanta 250?
Shout out to the team Lake Norman tonight. They put on a good show for us. Tyler was strong all night. Gable was strong. He just got back on strategy and got back in the hornet's nest. So once you get back there, it's hard to dig yourself back through. Caleb was up front for a little bit. Shout out to Blue Egg Marketing, JD Designs for painting the cars, Stay Tuned Sports Podcast, my grandfather watching, y'all up in the booth. Y'all do a heck of a job. Chad putting on the league, and gotta say, sorry for Blake there. Got into him, just drifted up off the corner and drifted right into him. I guess he did it to me a few weeks ago, so I guess that makes us even. So.
Gotcha. Well, congrats, Scott. I completely forgot to ask about that moment, but thanks for bringing it up. And hey, we'll see you next week. Race winner on the car. You'll be a lot more comfortable entering this stretch of races with a little bit of chaos with Bristol and Daytona kind of coming down the pipeline. So we'll look forward to seeing what you got for us in those upcoming races.
Hopefully we can continue running strong, and shout out to my grandfather watching and my wife for letting me race all the time. So hopefully we can have a nice week next week at Bristol.
Sounds good, buddy. Well, looking forward to the shop video, and we'll see you next week.
All right, thank you.
Got Crump, the race winner. And that will do it for the Atlanta 250 on the Belly Up Sports YouTube channel. Zach, final thoughts? I thought that was a really fantastic race.
Man, we had some concerns going into it, right? But it proved to be an absolute barn burner, especially that last green flag run. And it all sets the stage. You touched on it a little bit there in the post race. Next week, back on the Elite Racing Network, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, green flag for the 4th edition of the Belly Up Sports Cup Series Bristol Night Race. I don't think I have to say anything else. We already know what that's going to be, what to expect. There will be carnage. There will be tempers. After 500 laps, there will be a winner at the last Great Coliseum.
It's going to be exciting. Be sure to tune in next week on the Elite Racing Network channel for that race, and we'll be bringing it to you, and it should be a fantastic time. Presuming we don't, run into like 30 some odd cautions, and we actually get some green flag racing at Bristol, which is always fun. So for us at the Elite Racing Network for the Belly Up Sports YouTube channel, that was the Atlanta 250, and we will see everybody next week. Have a good night.